Dear Princess Celestia, it has now been a week since Rainbow Dash has come back to us. Like I said in my previous letter, it wasn't going as smoothly as I'd hoped. Just recently, she was brought back to the hospital after having a random seizure. When she woke up, however, I saw that old Rainbow Dash I had once knew. I missed her so much. I thought that she was back, but then she went cold. She hardly speaks now, and she never seems to let that old book out of her sight. I've asked her countless times what it was, but she never answers. I don't know what's going to happen next. Every time I think that we're getting through to her, she goes back into her shell again. One shudders to think of what horrors she must have seen in that cruel world she went to. I should be overcome with joy that she's finally come back to us, but now I've realized that she could never really come back. I'm sending you this letter because I need your advice. I don't know what to do next. I can't get rid of this nagging feeling that we're slowly losing her. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. It was a cold night at the hospital. A large storm was brewing outside. The halls grew quiet as every pony settled in for the night. Rainbow Dash lied down, motionless in her bed, staring at the ceiling above. She held the journal close to her chest as the storm outside grew louder. She shivered, feeling the cold liquid in a drop being pumped through her veins. She looked at the book, remembering when she saw it for the first time, how Bishop looked at her when he held it in his hands. She smiled, opening the first page. Suddenly, something fell out of the book. A piece of paper swooped beneath her bed. Rainbow Dash quickly pushed the book aside, scooting to the edge of the bed, and she dropped to the solid ground, grunting in pain. Her wounds had been healing well. Most of the bruising had disappeared, leaving only the bloody stitches on her chest. Rainbow Dash laid on her stomach before she began to crawl underneath the bed. After much trial and error, she managed to grab the paper with her teeth before scooting out from underneath the bed. Jumping back onto the mattress, she placed the piece of paper next to the book. Seeing something through the paper, she turned it around, only to see a pencil sketch of herself. She was taken aback by the detail of the picture, as she remembered where she was when she drew it. As she remembered where he was when he drew it? Weird. She stared into the picture, looking at every detail, every feature, until she noticed a smudge on the page. Looking closer, she saw something familiar. And then she recoiled, as her heart jumped into her throat. Under the smudge was the blue box she saw at the temple before she was taken to the other world. "The doctor," she whispered. She quickly grabbed the picture, placing it back in the open book before grabbing the drip with her teeth, wincing in pain as the needle tore out of her flesh. Ignoring the pain, she grabbed the journal before jumping off the bed, making her way towards the door. She could already feel herself growing tired as she walked out of the ward. Her legs became weak, and she could feel her heart pumping in her chest. This began to bring back the memories of when she was crawling through the woods in the pouring rain. "I've got to find him. I need to find him." Suddenly, she could feel herself growing weaker, and with every step she took, until she collapsed onto the floor, sighing in frustration as a member of the staff spotted her in the distance. "Miss Dash? Oh my! Hold on, I'll get some help." As the nurse ran out of sight, Rainbow Dash heaved herself onto her back, taking the journal out of her wing before holding it close to her chest, staring into the ceiling once again. Ugh, that was stupid. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, allowing herself a moment to rest, before she slowly felt herself slip into unconsciousness. Rainbow. The doctors and nurses decided that this time, Rainbow Dash was to be allowed to go home on the sole condition that she could look after herself again. 2 days later, Rainbow Dash was ready to leave. She sat on the edge of her bed, waiting for the doctors to give her the go-ahead. As she waited, she was reading the last entry of Bishop's journal. Monday the 2nd, 7 p.m. Today is supposed to be one of the proudest days of my life. Today, I was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, and was also promoted to captain. I was standing on the podium, looking out on hundreds of people looking at me, as if I'm their hero. The truth is, I'm just an ordinary sergeant who got lucky. I'm not at all ungrateful for receiving this prestigious award. I realize how much of an honor it is to receive it. I just don't feel like I truly deserve it. I've done many things in this war which I regret, some of which make my skin crawl. The only thing I can say, which can justify the things I've done, is that it was either kill or be killed. Tomorrow, I am being transferred to a naval base. I'm still uncertain where my future lies. If this war is to end, if it ever does, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Since I have no life outside the army, and since the rest of my family is, I guess we'll have to see what happens next. David M. Bishop. Rainbow Dash? The Pegasus looked up to see Nurse Redheart, who stood in front of her. It's time to go. Are you okay? You look upset. The Pegasus wiped away the tears from her face as she closed the book before holding onto her wings. I'm fine. Can we go now? You're free to leave, if you feel you're up to it. With that, Rainbow Dash jumped off the hospital bed before walking past the nurse, still weak from her last attempt to walk out of the hospital by herself. Redheart placed a hoof on Rainbow's shoulder. You are okay, right? Rainbow Dash swatted the hoof on her shoulder, turning back to face the timid nurse. I'm fine. Like I've said in the past million times before, I'm fine. I'm sorry, It's okay, the nurse said with a small smile. It can be frustrating being in a hospital for a while. Go on. Okay. Sorry again. Don't worry about it, Redheart said with a smile. Rainbow Dash turned back to the door, shaking her head as she tried to clear her mind. She walked into the hallway, thinking about what she just read in the journal, but every moment she did only brought her closer to breaking down in tears again. Feeling her legs wobble underneath her, she focused on walking out of the hospital on her own. Seeing the front doors, she picked up her pace, smelling the scent of flowers and freshly baked bread. An indulgence she missed in the other world. She was happy to experience it again. She noticed that through the glass doors of the hospital were her friends, waiting for her. As she continued to notice, there were considerably more ponies crowded around the hospital. Look! She's coming! A familiar filly voice screeched. Rainbow Dash could hear the commotion growing louder as she walked closer to the door. When she used a hoof to push it open, the ground trembled beneath her hooves as the crowd cheered. Rainbow was taken by surprise. She looked at her best friends to see them standing behind a hoof-made banner which said, "Welcome home, Rainbow," in large, multicolored lettering. Still surprised by the warm welcome, Rainbow Dash walked over to her friends, looking at all the ponies crowded around them. All this for me? Of course, Twilight said in a chirpy tone before Applejack stepped forward. We thought this time you could have a welcome party. You do deserve it, after all. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Rarity was next to step forward, holding a large box with her magic, before placing it in front of her. Rainbow Dash looked around the parcel, giving Rarity a questionable look. What is it? Open it. Rainbow Dash paused before leaning forward to grab the tape with her teeth, opening the top of it to see a dazzling outfit inside, tailored just to her liking. Whoa! Thank you, Rarity! It's awesome! I did it just for you, and you can wear it to the party tonight. Party? Pinkie Pie then came up from behind Dashy, jumping over her like before a blast of confetti startled the Pegasus. Pinkie Pie then executed a perfect backflip before landing on her back hooves in a power pose, taking a deep breath. Your welcome home party! The crowd cheered once again as Rainbow Dash felt a warm smile spread across her face. It had been a while since Rainbow Dash felt like this. Since she ran into Bishop's arms, this was the happiest she had felt in a long time. The welcome home party was being held at Twilight's library. Nearly every pony in Ponyville was there to celebrate. Downstairs, there was a riot of singing ponies. The room was a feston of party decorations. As every pony celebrated downstairs, Rainbow Dash was upstairs, trying on her new dress. The measurements were perfect, the color schemes were perfect, but she was struggling to put it on. The only bad thing about the dress was the lightning-shaped buttons. As Rainbow struggled, she turned to face the mirrors as she stood on her hind legs. Just then she froze, as she caught a glimpse of the large scar which went across her chest. She walked up to the mirror before she placed her hooves on the frame. Her mind went back to when she was being held by the leg as she hung helplessly as Bishop watched Diction use the large knife to cut her. After that, she couldn't remember what happened. But she didn't need to guess, as she remembered how she felt when she woke up. The Pegasus stroked the deep scar, looking at the still shorter hairs surrounding it as her chest was shaved so the surgeons could operate on her. Her head hung as she sighed, trying to get in the spirit of things. Rainbow? Fluttershy's voice spoke quietly behind her. Oh, Rainbow Dash came down from the mirror before walking up to her friend. Hey, Fluttershy, how you doing? I'm fine, I guess. What's wrong? Dress. The buttons don't work. Here. Fluttershy walked up to Rainbow Dash, grabbing the buttons before quickly attaching the pieces of the dress together. I guess Rarity didn't think about how hard it would be to put the dress on yourself, Fluttershy said as her voice cracked. Rainbow noticed Fluttershy began to quietly sob as she helped put the dress on. Fluttershy? Fluttershy, what's wrong? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rainbow. I thought I was never going to see you again. I got so worried. When I was at my cottage, I couldn't stop worrying about you. I started crying, and that made my animal friends upset, and that made me even more upset. Before Fluttershy could cry, Rainbow Dash held her head in her hooves, looking at her with a smile on her face. Hey, it's okay. I'm here now, and I'm fine. Don't worry. Don't cry. Everything's going to be fine. Fluttershy smiled before wiping away her tears. She went back to finishing the job. As she fastened the last button, she stood back before Rainbow Dash turned to look at the mirror again. She was surprised how well the dress suited her, and how it symbolized the character she was. As she took a pose in the mirror, she saw the scar on her chest again. It looks really nice, Fluttershy said before she made her way back downstairs. I'm going back to the party, Rainbow. I'll see you soon, right? Yeah. I'll be down in a minute. Thanks for the help, Fluttershy. As Fluttershy walked down into the stairs below, Rainbow Dash stood closer to the mirror. Inches away, she looked deep into her own eyes. She stared at herself for a little while before a thought clicked in her mind, taking her by surprise, but she quickly dismissed the emotions as she glared at herself. She turned away from the mirror, making her way down the stairs with a determined look on her face. I'm coming back, Bish. It was a beautiful morning which dawned over Ponyville, over the still sleeping town. Twilight was first to wake up in the library, noticing she was asleep on the floor. As she stumbled onto her feet, she looked around to see Pinky was snuggled up to a blanket on the couch, and the library was completely trashed, covered in plastic cups, confetti, props, and punch. Sighing at the mess, she turns to go up the stairs, where she sees Fluttershy sleeping in her bed. Fluttershy, she said, startling the Pegasus. Fluttershy clumsily fell out of bed, hitting the wooden floor with a loud crash. Oh, she groaned. lifting herself off the ground. What's wrong? Oh my, I was in your bed? This is embarrassing. Don't worry about it. You haven't seen Rainbow Dash, have you? I think she left when I was playing Pin the Tail on the Pegasus. Ow, my head hurts. Probably wanted to sleep in the comfort of her own home. Can't blame her. Twilight flinched, as the noise was shortly followed by another large crash, causing Twilight's ears to ring. Shortly after, Pinkie Pie was sprinting up the stairs. Twilight turned to face her oncoming friend. Pinkie, what are you... Before she could finish her sentence, she was tackled to the ground by the crazed pony. They rolled on the ground before they came to a stop, with Pinkie Pie looming over her. This is bad. No, I mean really, really, really bad. No, I mean really bad. Bad like when... Twilight shoved a hoof in Pinkie's mouth as she continued to blabber on. Pinkie! Twilight screeched, silencing her pink friend. What is it? Pinkie swiped Twilight's hoof away before staring into her eyes, inches from her face. We have to panic. She's going. She's leaving. What? Who's leaving? What are you talking about? Rainbow Dash! My right ear was flopping. That means I have to say goodbye to some pony. Last time that happened, Rainbow Dash disappeared and we nearly never saw her again. We need to find her before she goes away. Twilight paused before she pushed Pinkie Pie off, standing up while she looked at Pinkie. Just because it's happened before doesn't mean it's going to happen again. Maybe it's just some other pony you need to say goodbye to. Maybe it's me, or Fluttershy. Pinkie began to jog in the spot, panic in her face. Twilight rolled her eyes before she began to walk down the stairs. If it makes you feel better, we'll go see her now. I bet she's already flying around Ponyville enjoying herself. Oh, no, this is bad, this is really bad. Twilight was pacing around Rainbow Dash's house, picking up random objects with her magic, while other ponies searched the different rooms of the house. Fluttershy, did you see the Pegasi at Cloudsdale? Fluttershy's head poked around the corner before she walked into view. Yes, I did. No pony's seen her since the party. Pinkie, did you see every pony in Ponyville? Pinkie's head popped around the corner. Her mane was deflated, and her fur had lost some of its color. Of course! I even asked all the little bugs and animals in Fluttershy's cottage. I even spoke to Tank, but he wasn't saying anything. Then, I started getting some weird looks, so I came back here. Before Twilight could talk to Pinkie, she darted around the corner. She sighed in frustration, before going back to picking up random items in the house, realizing that her house looked a little more bare than usual. Found something! Applejack's voice shouted from the lounge. Twilight's ears perked up as she ran into the room. Applejack was holding a piece of paper in her mouth. As Twilight picked it up with her magic, she turned it to see that it was a letter, written in the same sloppy mouth writing as Rainbow Dash's. Dear Twilight, Applejack, Fluttershy, Rarity, and Pinkie Pie. I'm sorry I had to leave unexpectedly, but if you knew what I was going to do, you'd probably send me to the nut house. I'm not going to lie about what I'm doing. I'm going back to the other world. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be gone, but you don't have to worry about me. I know what I'm doing. Fluttershy, please take care of Tank while I'm gone. Pinkie, thanks for the awesome party. I had so much fun last night. Rarity, I can't thank you enough for the dress. Applejack, thank you for giving me the support when I was in the hospital. And Twilight, thank you for bringing me back, but I can't stay in Equestria knowing that one of my friends is in danger. Don't follow me. I need to do this, for my sake, and Bishop's. I'll see you soon, girls. Rainbow Dash. No pony said anything once the letter was read. After a short time, however, Applejack was the first to break the silence. No, she can't be serious. She can't go back there. Twilight, we need to stop her. Twilight? That name again. Bish. Twilight, Applejack said frantically, grabbing the purple mare by the shoulders. We've got to do something. We can't just let her leave. She'll get herself killed. Twilight paused to think. The doctor. She'll be looking for the doctor. We need to find him before she does. But where do we start? Fluttershy said.
He could be anywhere.
Rainbow Dash felt cool breezes brush across her wings as she ascended higher towards the city of Canterlot. He must be there. Before long, she landed on the ground, just as she walked up to a toll booth. Opening her saddlebags, she pulled out a small bag full of bits. She takes out 2 before giving them to the mare behind the glass, to which the large gate opened in front of her. Welcome to Canterlot, the mare said in a chirpy voice as Dash entered the large city. Rainbow Dash looked around, seeing the crowded streets, all the different Pegasus flying around through the city, all the unicorns and earth ponies walking down the streets. Rainbow Dash sighed, realizing the large task which lay ahead of her. Don't give up, Rainbow. You've come this far. Rainbow! Dash turned to see the source of the sound, to see the light brown stallion walking towards her with a large grin on his face. The blue eyes, the crazy hair, it was unmistakably him. How convenient, Dash thought as he got closer. Oh my! It seems like it was only an hour ago when I was pulling you through time and space. The colt was pulled by his tie into a small alley between the building. Rainbow Dash held the brown pony against the wall as she was still stunned. Hello. Did I start off wrong? What was it? Oh, I should be concerned that... He was interrupted as a hoof covered his mouth. He furrowed his eyebrows as he looked at the multicolored pony in front of him. We need to talk. Now.